Welcome to the Four Visions Market Podcast, a space built on the principles of integrity and reciprocity. Together, we will engage in thought-provoking conversations about plant medicines, why these plants are coming out of the rainforests, jungles, and mountains after thousands of years, and what it means to be in right relationship with the ancestral wisdom cultures and guardians of these traditions. I'm your host, Mariah, founder and director of Four Visions Market. This podcast is the natural evolution in our commitment to providing you, our tribe, with incredible resources to support you on your healing journey through plant medicines. Welcome home.
Hola familia, welcome back to the Four Visions podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. Today, I'm very grateful and excited to be joined by Sophya Ramirez, also known as Almaconvoz, throughout her musical platform and offerings. I'm so thrilled to get the opportunity to sit with you and welcome you to the show. I'm very excited to dive into what I feel is going to be a very beautiful conversation today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, for me, being transplant to Colombia and having Colombia be my second home and the birthplace of so much of my own spiritual journey, as well as where our platform really was born and the vision for Four Visions. I'm really excited to be here in our home in Northern California, joined by una colombiana. And I'm excited to just get to connect with you in this way. And let us begin by hearing a little bit more about your path and your journey, your spiritual journey, as well as how you found yourself to be here living in Nevada City. And a little bit more about what you are dedicating your life to.
Right now, living in Nevada, in Grass Valley, that is very close to Nevada City. And California brought me here in 2017 for a retreat of Dances of Universal Peace. And during that journey, I met Nathan, who is my beloved. The journey has taken us to Ecuador first, and then to Colombia, and now here. He has a very good job. He got this good job with the trees that is what he loves. So now we're here supporting that part in my spiritual journey. That's the other question. Well, I believe that I had the blessing to grow up with parents who believed in love as a way to relate. And that was their answer when I came to ask. I remember when I was little and kids around me were asking me what was my religion, and I didn't know. So I went to my dad and I asked him, "Dad, what is our religion? I want to answer." And he said, "It's love. Our religion is love." And I think that maybe from that moment, I was maybe 7 years, something shifted in myself. And after that, I have been just following that sign and the many names that God has, and the many ways that we can really experience that energy, because it's the same. There are thousands of ways to say God in many languages and many religions. And at the end, they are just praising the same energy, the energy of the divine love. So that has been always like something deep that I relate with. I also question myself in life in every step I take. Sometimes the answer is there, and then I take 3 more steps, and then I again has to make the question again. The answer is always in question. The answer is always in question for that. And I believe that ultimate answer that I will say for that question is to experience that. Why I'm here on earth is to experience this myself, the questions that arise and the answers that come, and the security I get in the answer, and then the places that take me, and then the question that arises again. Mm-hmm. So to experience those waves, that's why I'm here on earth.
Mm-hmm. I love that answer, because oftentimes when we are so sure of what we're here for, it's also defining and limiting, because if we're not open to just the mystery of life, the ever-unfolding nature, the fact that, you know, we are constantly expanding, dying to the person we were even a moment ago and being born again, to be able to live from that place of like the ultimate surrender to the process of the human existence is such a beautiful way to go through our lives, and provides so much just trust in the process of growth and evolution and whatever's to come. I love that answer.
Yes, it's how we experience it, right? Like how we learn to read life, and then from that learning, navigate the next wave, navigate the next answer, the next question, the next movement that we do with that assurement, because it's definitely needed also.
Yeah.
Right? To be sure about the answer that you have in the moment is also needed. Mm-hmm. You grow from that too, from that certainty. Yep. Right? And then the next wave of dying, then how can we manage it? Mm-hmm. and start again? We never start from the same point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is very beautiful also about the experience of it. Mm-hmm. And the awareness how we put into the experience.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very much the softening and the strengthening, or the feminine and the masculine, the expansion and the contraction. It's knowing when to trust and let go of the known, and to allow ourselves to rest in the unknown of what's to come, or the unknown of who we are, or how we are defined in a new way with whatever life has shown us, and to be able to rest in that unknown and infinite possibility, and then take action, like you said, from this place of will and strength and clarity, and finding that balance of dancing between the two elements of walking is such a beautiful way to give reverence to life itself, right? Even in honoring just those energies that exist within us, the duality of the human existence. It's like it's quite profound to live from that place, and to go through life from that perspective of just, you know, acknowledgement of the full totality of what it means to be alive and to be in these bodies.
Yeah, I hear you saying it, and it sounds, you know, like it sounds, you can say it in this amount of time, 1 minute, 2 minutes, right? Like the phrase, and then the living, the experience of it, it's so deep, it's like timeless, right? It requires a whole movement, and this fact of time, right? Like the time is the only one that can really give you the opportunity to experience it, right? And like a word of what you said, that it sounded so beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, you say it in this way, you know, like so clear. And the deeps of it, right? The deeps of each one of those sounds that you're naming there, the duality, the totality, the balance, the oneness, right? All the waves, all the steps, all the cracks, all the rocks, all the greens, all the colors, all the flavors of them in that totality. And I resonated with the word balance, right? It's balanced, as you say. And also in being able to experience totally the allowing ourselves to be ready and balanced. right?
Messy.
Messy, very like chaotic. That is something that we share as humans, all of these, also you name it, all of these that we have inside. And then sometimes I see it also in different communities and spiritual paths. You want to keep the balance so bad. You want to be good every day. Every day, meditate, do yoga, cook organic food, be the best wife, be the best, and then it gets overwhelmed. But it's this like this balance from the thinking. Thinking that being spiritual is being like that.
Yeah.
And how much can we get out of that and be unbalanced and also observe ourselves? Like, that's the experience. To go being balanced or being messy and observe from both of them. Yeah. And integrate them. That's the real experience. Go, do it, jump, get dirty.
Yeah. And finding that balance in the chaos too, and finding the stillness in the chaos. While you're talking, it's like reminding me of, I think because we're here, we're invoking the lands of Colombia, and it's having me really reflect on the Yahe and the Yahe ceremony, because that's one ceremony that works with that energy of chaos in a very unique way, where a lot of other ceremonial work is very much that stillness, and everything is very much in that place of divine placement and rest, spaciousness. There's in a lot of other traditions, ceremony doesn't look like the way that the Yahe works. And in the Yahe ceremony, for those who are not familiar with the Colombian form of ayahuasca and this tradition, it's the most chaotic ceremony I've ever experienced, in the sense of how the psyche perceives chaos, because like you can have the harmonica going super strong, and then at the very same time the musicians are playing their guitar and their flutes and singing, and then there's the healers chanting at the same time, and there's like sometimes 4 or 5 things happening sound wise, not even talking about the energetics, but like sound wise. That's how much is happening at one moment. And a lot of people experience that and they're like, it was just too chaotic for me, it's like there's too much going on. But there's something very beautiful about the study of the Yahe and the culture of the Yahe that works with this chaos that you're speaking to in a very beautiful way, not shying away from it, but rather going into it in full force and celebrating the like fullness of the energetic noise that's like being brought up to be purified and organized and cleansed. And it's something that, I don't know, I just felt called to share about, because often like you said, we're very content and happy in like a sound healing, where like all the music is just like floating off of one another, or all the instruments are like playing in the same key, and it's all like harmonious. Or even in like another type of ceremony where there's like everyone is moving very stilly with like a lot of like presence and calmness, and there's very rarely happening more than one thing at one time. And so this type of ceremony in my work with the Yahe has taught me a lot about how to work with the chaos and to not be afraid of it, but rather utilize it as a vehicle, because I think that in the times of chaos is where like the phoenix explodes and we're reborn too. There's like this catalyzing energy when we don't shy away from all of it happening at once, but rather go into it and like give ourselves over to it and learn how to be comfortable in that, in the chaos or in the messiness, whatever, name we want to give. But that's something that I think is such an incredible practice for us, especially those of us who don't come from traditional cultures and like we're not very comfortable in the chaos. That's something that's like a very big edge, especially for Western society. And like what you're sharing is really like learning how to work with those energies, and laugh at them and celebrate them, enjoy the craziness of it, that's a beautiful skill to learn how to cultivate and to work with, and does give us, like you're sharing, like this doorway into being able to ride the waves of life, you know, and navigate the craziness of life.
Yeah, I hear you. And first is like we were talking a little bit before starting, we were talking in Spanish, right? Mm-hmm. So I see how the first word I named was unbalanced. Mm-hmm. That is the opposite of being balanced. And that, in the meaning that it had for you, was chaos, right? Mm-hmm. And messiness.
Yeah.
So those are two of them, but not every imbalance is chaos. Mm-hmm. Yeah, on one side. Mm-hmm. So there are many ways, there are many flavors of the imbalance that we miss from ourselves, right? And then the other wave is, yes, you go, maybe in this example, you're placing a very good example of a very real experience, right? And then you said how to be comfortable in that chaos, and how to keep the balance in that chaos, right? How to keep the balance in that chaos. And it's the experience, it's how to don't be balanced even in the chaos. How can you go even farther in that? How much can you get lost? Yeah, how deep is, because then we do that. We have a little bit of chaos, and quickly we wanna, no, let me find my balance. So it's like this urge to go to the balance again. Yes, we all will have it, right? And then how do you realize how far are you there where you are really not feeling a way out, right? That also happens, and we tell in our minds so many lies about it, just because of our way to experience it, the imbalanced feelings, the imbalanced sensations. Yeah, they can have many flavors, and it can be a bunch of sadness, it can be a bunch of pain, it can be a bunch of anger, right? And then how can we experience those and really go deep in them? What is gonna come from the end? You know, like what is gonna happen at that place? What is gonna the imbalance is gonna bring us if we go farther that road? What happens at the other side? What happens when you finish one of these ceremonies? What was your experience when you went out of that? Of when the ceremony was finished and the sun came out, right? What did you feel in that example?
Stillness, peace, calm, right? And so the way that the chaos brings everything up, it like nos sacuda, like it shakes everything out. And then in the morning, there's this profound sense of peace and stillness and balance that comes from the chaos.
Hey, Four Visions fam, taking a quick break from today's episode to share about a really special new Four Visions offering. For the last 6 months, we've been busy working intimately with our indigenous botanists in both Colombia and Brazil on the sourcing of a collection of rare Amazonian plants, roots, barks, flowers, and seeds. We just launched the Rainforest Herbal Apothecary, as we continue to deepen our mission of integrating ancient plant medicine into the modern world. We are humbled and grateful for the next evolution of our brand, offering deep bows of gratitude for the sacred earth medicines and the blessed opportunity to share the healing power of nature with people from all over the world. We want to thank our indigenous cultivators, botanists, healers, and our incredible Four Visions team for bringing this vision to life. And of course, you, our Four Visions community, for inspiring us to continue growing. Visit our website to check out the Rainforest Herbal Apothecary today with over 25 new, ancient botanical remedies in their raw form. Our prayer is that these new offerings support you in deepening your relationship with sacred plant teachers by having access to their raw form. We are so looking forward to sharing more about each and every one of these incredible plant allies over the coming months and deepening our education initiatives for our community. But for now, go explore the new collection and let the plants speak to you. And now, back to today's show.
We have been talking about these words, right? Balance and chaos. And these are two roads that we can go very deep into them, right? In our lives and examples in many things in our lives. And when we step a little bit back and look at the roots from where these two come, they are coming from the place of duality. That is the way our mind has been set up on default. So there is something out of them. They came from the one. They both belong to the one. And we can get lost in the little branches of both of them. And the farther the road goes, it's only going to be an exercise to get back to the one. The unity that embraces everything. Everything. Nothing is out of that. Nothing is out of the one. And the one is a vibration. So even if we are like in our most balanced moment, or even if we are in our most chaotic moment, the vibration is a place where we can go and put it all down and give a pass to our mind strategically in our dual set, find the answers, because it's not gonna come here. Even when we feel that we are like in our illuminated moment, from next moment arrives. Even if we feel that we are super lost and that we know nothing, next moment will arise. And the moment we surrender, the moment we again can melt all of these, I call it in the classes, I call it the cloud of words. Every letter we are thinking, every letter we are talking, every letter we are listening. So our mind becomes a sky full of clouds. And all of those clouds, all of them are going to have the same root, because it's the way it's the setup, the duality. And then in the space, for me, works to come back to vibration. However, we find that Rumi says there are 1,000 ways to knee and kiss the ground. There are 1,000 ways to go back to the one. I have found it in myself to be very real to go back to vibration. We remember. It's just an exercise of remembering. Going back to the one, melting. How much can we allow ourselves to melt in that oneness, in that big vibration that has all the keys, that has all the tones, that has all the notes, that has all the sharps, all the flats, everything in such a unique and abundant way.
So share with us a little bit about your journey with sound and music and how you have gone on this journey for the vibration, really the search for vibration, right?
Yeah, we arrived there. Well, as I was telling you at the beginning, I started my journey going to ceremonies. So definitely medicine opened a new way for me to hear the music that Taita Gregorio used to play. He's a very happy Taita Gregorio Castro. And he has a requinto, that is a string instrument. And he will play in the ceremony, and he will dance, patear, and just to observe, have those notes coming to me. It was like it really conquer my heart and my attention, right? Like, oh, what's that? Yeah. And since then, I started singing and playing a little bit of instruments. And it was just like I was so in love with the feeling of doing that, that I decided to study more. So I first studied in Bucaramanga, yes, in AMUS, as a school of music. Then I met there a teacher from Ecuador, Diego. And he came to tell us that there is a Berkley School of Music in Ecuador that was the only one in South America that had this alliance with Berkeley, and offer us scholarships to a couple of us. So I did the process and I got the scholarship, and I studied in Ecuador. Music brought me to this amazing place. Ecuador is super beautiful. I met many curanderas, many medicine women. In Colombia, and also in the Yahed tradition, it's very masculine too. So, of course, I grew up like understanding that, respecting that, of course. But going to Ecuador and finding lineages of medicine women was very powerful. Was very, I felt like, okay, I can be a little bit myself, right? With that, feeling at home, right? Yes, I did most of my music studies there and career. I started creating music there. One of my songs was selected as a original song for a contest too, so that kind of put me in a good side for the people in the university. And with that, I was able to record my first album, Canto a Tierra. That it really means, when you say it in English, it would be like sing to earth. Yeah, or chant to earth. It's very tricky to translate it. And even in Spanish, you could think, oh, it's singing to the earth. And yes, it's that. Plus, is that connection that the cables have, que se llama cable a tierra, when you really are able to grant something that is in the air. So that was the meaning of the first songs that wanted to arrive. It was like, okay, we're going to do it, and we're going to conquer that process and push to give birth to that album. I had a lot of support from my colleagues and friends and the university itself to make that recording alive. I started teaching there also. In Ecuador, I started teaching kids. And it opened a door in my heart to see how much deep I could plant the seed of music in the little ones. I have been already teaching adults since Colombian. And I realized that for adults, the first process requires a lot of de-traumatizing with your own musical journey, right? And the things that people have said that hurt you or the teacher in the past, right? So with the kids, it's the opposite. It's like the soil is so fertile, and then how deep can music go, and how much music can be a company for them in their lives. So I got obsessed. I got very interested into teaching and into understanding simple ways to communicate music in terms of energy too, and to manage it, even without communication, right? Just to understand the music, the vibration, the music as energy. And in Ecuador also, we did many concerts around, played in beautiful theaters, had a group of musicians that I could also create melodies and write arrangements, and they'll play it. And it was a very amazing time. Like, many melodies that were just in my head were able to arrive. Like this album that is coming, that I was telling you before, is recordings from a concert. And those concerts, I was blessed, and I'm always grateful that we got to have so many musicians, like arrangements for strings and winds and whole band and 2 guitars and charango and people singing the harmonies, like all the friends that were part of this was very amazing. It made it a reality, such a reality. So this is like, right? This is like when the vibration becomes something that you can touch, that you can hear, that you can experiment, that you can feel, that you can play it and then have a relationship with it, right? That was that moment in Ecuador. Yeah. And then COVID arrived, and with that they closed the school that I was working in, and we came back to Colombia. And in this time for all of us, it was like a different wave of approaching to everything. This energetic wave that happened. And with that, I just went deep into more like the healing part of sound, music therapy, and I started to have my online students that have been in this journey with me without borders now, and experimenting what is to awake the musical journey through a computer, also through technology. It is like now, 4 years later, I am seeing the results, and I'm like surprised. I'm like, oh wow, this is something that not only is about them or me, but it's something that is really happening. It's really happening. It's really needed. It's really needed. We are feeling the seeds of our musical journey awake inside, and somehow they are being loud enough for us, for our mind to say, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this. Because the world needs it. It is like a collective prayer.
And I love just hearing the evolution of it, and going back to what we spoke about at the very beginning, it's like being in that place of surrender and trust, and constantly surrendering and dying to the old and giving life to the new, and so many different chapters that you're sharing about in your own journey and growth. And it's beautiful to just reflect on it, knowing that there's many more curves to come and many more chapters to come, right? But just being able to take this moment to really recognize it's so infinite, and the more that we can just accept when things end and begin, and see and be open to the curiosity of what's the evolution of this, is like that curiosity is so important, not to lose that in those moments of deep transition, because the way that you're even talking about the evolution of your journey and your musical career, it's there's been so many different phases, right? And each phase, I'm sure, was bittersweet when it came to a close, but then another door opened, and to really be able to come at life from that place of trust, come at life from that place of nothing is permanent. Everything is always changing. Nothing lasts forever.
It's the nature of things.
Yeah.
Buddhists say it from the beginning. Is the main nature of everything in this life is that it's gonna change.
Yeah. Yet we can't learn it. If somehow we don't get it, right? Every single time we're tested, and we forget it, and we hold on, and we grieve. We're so sad, of course, there's grieving to be had when chapters close, but like to just like get it through our heads, like it's gonna change.
Yeah, in our memory, you know, and I believe it's just like the evolution of it is, you know, not to avoid feeling grief or sadness, but just like how every time you suffer a little bit less. You know, if you break up with your boyfriend and you suffer and you cry for 2 months, but somehow you give yourself the opportunity, open the curiosity, the openness, and you meet another person and you think it's perfect because now you're praying, because now you're going to ceremony and you think it's the perfect guy. And then time passes and you realize that it's not good for you. And then you again break up. So if this time, it doesn't matter if it's 1 year, 2 months, 8 years, 20 years later, but if in this same point where you're breaking up, when something is happening in your heart and you're sad again, you're grieving again, in this time, you can cry for 1 month and a half. It's still 2 weeks less than the last time, right? So it's this like amount of, we're gonna still cross those places. And then how can little by little, just like letting it go with so much more lightness. It's the lightness of it.
Exactly.
It's the lightness of it that we learn. It's the lightness. It can be light when we remember it's their nature. When we remember it's all a game. This experience is that game.
Yeah. And I think also it's like we can grieve and still feel the lightness. And finding that place, like, for example, if we're going to grieve, but we also keep it, that awareness that this is good for us, that this, whatever we're going through is giving room for the next evolution of who we are meant to be or what we are meant to do in this life. Like to find that bittersweetness. I'm going through that right now after, 10 years of roots in Colombia. Like our chapter in Colombia is nearing a close, and we're getting ready to move from our home there and transition to the next chapter. And it's like, there's this bittersweetness there because it's so sad, but it's also like allowing myself to experience the sadness without letting it go into suffering, right? Or like when my grandfather passed earlier this year, it's like feeling the grief for like the loss of human life and the grief that I had for his passing, but also like resting in the fact that he's finally free and liberated and back home, right? So like finding a way to go through these chapters, not necessarily like overcoming the grieving or overcoming the process of it. Because I think also as women too, it's like that femininity, that expansion of the emotional body, like we can't deny that either, right? And that's not the goal, but being able to rest into the emotional body while also not giving power to the thinking body to control or dominate the experience, like allowing the sadness to be there, but also like, can we hold the sadness with the gratitude, or the sadness with the unknown and the mystery of the what's possible, at the same time. To me, that has been like the most beautiful experience in the journey of cycles and the closing of chapters.
It's the trust, whatever you are, however you are. Even if you have broken 1,000 times your vows, it's the trust. But there is a place within where you can go. There is a place that knows that is part of your process. Is that word, the trust. And I wonder in myself from where it comes, right? And somehow I imagine it's like this savings, like jars of savings, right? Jars of savings where you put coins or for these, and then you have a little project for these, and this jar of the trust. How do you feel it? How do you trust in the trust somehow? It takes us back at the beginning, but how to experience, how much can we let ourselves melt completely there, completely. There is no place for the one when you are ready of yourself. When we are ready of ourselves, what we consider ourselves, the nafs, the Sufis will say, is the nafs. If we are already full of that, if we are already full of ourselves, there's no space for the one. There's no space for the divine. So all of these experiences is just a call to make more space. And the ability, just like when it's like a friend. The more you see your friend, the more you can hang out, more relaxed, and you can laugh more, or you can cry with more confidence. The confidence is something that is built, that it needs time to trust in the other persons. It's the same with life. So how can we in ourselves build that trust, build that trust in ourselves, build that trust in our life, in the blessings that we have, and put a little bit more coins in that jar.
Thank you so much, Sophia. This is a wonderful conversation. I'm really just appreciating where we're going, where we've been in this conversation, and dancing together in this way, and just being open to seeing what comes through. It's always very beautiful to get to be in this space together with another person, and just be open to the mystery of what's supposed to come through, what is meant to be touched on, right? It's always a surprise. But as we're nearing kind of the close of this recording, wanted to just ask you if there's anything specific that you want to share with our listeners, or maybe a specific message that you have that is feeling really strong to come through today, or your offerings, and sharing more about your offerings and your work.
Well, to all the people that are listening, I'll take the last word, trust, and I'll add in your voice. Trust in your music. Each one of us is very unique. Each one of us musical journeys is very special. And the whole universe is waiting for us to do a little bit of work on that. It brings a lot of joy. It brings a lot of connection. Trust in our sound. We are waiting for it. Listen to good music. I have one friend, Jesus Hidalgo, who says, go, you've been in depression, you're feeling bad, you feel that you're doing everything wrong, just go find medicine music, healing music, mantras music, native flutes music, Japanese flutes. Find yourself good music. Choose wisely what you hear. Choose wisely what is coming through your ears, because it's going to nourish your soul. It always does. And of course, if you want to listen to Almaconvoz and keep connected to this project, find us on the streaming platforms and YouTube. We're putting out special music that was recorded live. So also facing that a part of allowing it to be as it is.
Yeah.
With all the little mistakes or things that can be seen as like, oh, that was not perfect. Getting out of that place and just like giving this music for all of us to enjoy. And if you are in town, Grass Valley, Nevada City, come and hear us playing live on October 13th at the Indigenous Day here in Grass Valley. Yeah, keep connected. Write me a message. I want to know about you too.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Bendiciones a todos. A usted, gracias, gracias. Thank you for listening, familia. And I'm sending you so much love. God bless you.
On behalf of the Four Visions family, we want to thank you for listening to our podcast. We hope you have enjoyed this conversation and have gained seeds of wisdom that will nourish your spiritual path. If you have a moment, please leave us a review, as this helps us to reach more people. For more resources and information about the plant path, and for the highest quality spiritual tools and botanicals, please visit us at fourvisions.com. We are grateful for your support and look forward to continuing this journey with you all. Until next time.